All right, guys. What's up, Mike? Welcome to Hot Mike.
What's up, Monty?
Okay. So we got to ask the big question. Okay. So, should they do the Olympics we're a month out? Should they be having the Olympics a month from now?
Or so how about this? Maybe the question should be, how should they do the Olympics? How should they do the Olympics? So if it were up to you on this date, right? How would you do? What would you do if you were the head of the IOC?
If I were the head of the IOC,
if you were the prime minister of Japan.
Well, it's complex because I'm not good with the Japanese politics, but like I think President Obama, he had to deal with this problem of just this revolving door at the prime ministership, right? Like I think he like I forgot.
Abe was in there forever.
Yeah, Abe was in there forever. Before Abe, there was a whole bunch of, there was a revolving door. Like there were a lot of guys that went through there before Abe. Remember, Abe was the prime minister. He quit, and then he was part of the revolving door until he went and stayed for a while. Right. And like whoever's prime minister, they're going to have to just take the L and say, "I'm going to be an unpopular guy, but this is what we need to do." Like that's what needs to happen. It has to be someone that says, "You know what? So people are going to lose some money. It's going to be unpopular, but
someone has to be the Jimmy Carter, basically."
Yeah, someone has to just eat it and just say, "Look, we're not ready for this thing. Our country is reeling right now. We need to stabilize this thing and move it to next year or whenever we need to do it."
Well, so let me ask you: you are on the ground in Japan. Is Suga the guy? Is he the guy?
The guy for what?
Is he the type of leader that is going to do what's best for the country and sort of well,
but I wouldn't say but this is the thing is I wouldn't say that he's not the guy. I would say more so that the prime minister of this country is I don't know if they have like it's not like the kind of position where you have like the popular support. Because I don't know quite how they do these elections or whatever, but like once your popularity falls below a certain level, they can have like a snap election or whatever, and they can, I don't know, it's a lot like the British system, and I don't quite get it. It's like if you're unpopular, if you have a certain level of unpopularity, like the opposing party can challenge you or something like that. It's not turn based, right? So
let's just try to eliminate all the politics aspect. So like if it was just the pandemic and it was just the Olympics, what would you do?
Me?
What would you do?
I mean, a leader is easy for a leader to lead when things are fine, right? That's why we remember who Winston Churchill is, because he was a leader when things were not fine. They were the very opposite of that. So like to be a real leader, what would I do? I would just say, you know what, this is the end of my political career. I'm just going to do what's best for the country, and they'll write about it in the textbook. And I'll just
cancel. Not even postpone.
You can't cancel it. You can't cancel the Olympics. You just got to push it back. You got to push it back. You need more time.
Indefinitely. Or would you say 2022? Would you say next year?
I would just say tentatively next summer, or tentatively until world vaccination is at this number, or until we have coordination with certain number of countries about our global goal on this. Because look, this is what I think is the bigger key with this. There's going to be a Winter Olympics in China next year, right? They're going to have the same problem. As a matter of fact, they might have a bigger problem, because they're going to be people that don't trust going there. Like, I don't want to, like, you're going to have athletes saying, I'm going to go to where this whole thing started in the middle of all of this and trust who to do what? This is a problem that China's going to have to deal with next year. So it's a legit problem right now. And if the world doesn't solve it, they're going to be doing the same thing before the Olympics next year, or the Winter Olympics. When are the Winter Olympics? February? In the middle of winter? I mean, you think people are going to want to go? Like, not, I mean, there's going to have to be like mass vaccinations, like on a worldwide scale, before people start feeling comfortable, right? Go ahead.
The interesting thing, so two things. I have an idea that I just came up with. That I think I just saved the Summer Olympics. I could save the Summer Olympics. This is my idea. Cyber Olympics.
Oh Lord.
So what if? So for the summer events, for a lot of the summer events, maybe not all, but for a lot of the summer events, there isn't a lot of interaction. So what if we took the technology, we took like holographic technology, we've got runners in 8 different countries on 8 different tracks, but they're all in different lanes, and you're just like, okay, let's do holographic imaging, and we can put them all together. So they're all the athletes are in their host countries in very safe conditions, but we have the technology so that we can splice them all together. And so all the runners, pop, 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 pop. Actually, this would be a cool thing. Honestly, like maybe they could even do like some cool production where high jumpers are going simultaneously. So you can see like layered on top of each other, 8 countries going at the same time. You see one person stumble, but you see the other ones going, and then you can actually see all of them jump at the same time, and you can actually see who's going the highest. You can see all of them, throwing the javelins at the same time.
You're giving what?
It's gold.
Bezos. Yeah, you're giving Bezos
Look at this gold,
ideas, man.
I'm like, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You create this amazing sort of production where it's all safe. Everyone's doing it remotely. Like it's not going to work. I think what are the summer events that where like basketball? Basketball is like teams on teams, so you can't do like a virtual version of that. But for so many of the sports, you've got that, and like what it could be is, if you have those bubbles again, if you had more time. And you could have created a basketball bubble.
That's what they need to do. They need to have event bubbles.
They need to think outside the box like this guy.
Well, but the problem with bubbles is that you have to get everyone to agree to it. And that's why like the NBA bubble worked, because like the NBA players, their union is really strong. So
sure.
Chris Paul says, you know what, guys, this is what we got to do to protect our money.
But that's what I'm saying.
And everyone falls in line. But
that's exactly what I'm saying, is that like if you're talking whoever's in charge of the Olympics, they could have called Adam Silver the day after or during
well, they should have. They should have.
After the season last year, they're just like, okay, let's see how can we reproduce this in Japan.
That's right.
But for the world.
That's right.
And then bam, bam, bam.
That's exactly what should have happened. That's exactly right.
But Adam Silver and his team, they're just like, okay, how do we get the season to start immediately? The regular season to start immediately. But the other interesting wrinkle with all of this is, especially when it comes to the NBA, is that there's that whole controversy of sending the athletes to the Olympics anyway. They're like, there's this whole that brings up a whole other issue of like the ownership, like we own the athletes.
Well, but the guys want to come. Like, I mean, the thing with the NBA is that everybody wins when they send the players here. So that's actually a commercial, because
like they don't always win though. Like look at who is it?
Oh, you're talking about Paul George when he got injured. He hurt his leg.
Yeah, look at Paul George. Yeah, Paul George, like catastrophic injury.
Well, but
who else? There are a lot of. I feel like a lot of athletes shortened their careers because they were,
But this is the thing, though, right? Like,
and they missed out on NBA championships.
Well, I mean, Paul George, he wasn't going to win anything. But the flip side of that is Kobe in the Beijing Olympics. What that did to NBA basketball, that was like an atomic explosion. Like everyone's like, oh, Kobe, yes, we want to watch him. And the NBA was like, okay,
right,
okay, right, and then boom,
absolutely.
So I mean, it's a great exhibition. That's why, I mean, as international a league as the NBA is, they win. So there's motivation even when guys get hurt.
Players win, and the organizations associated with those players win. But if you're, if you're Manu Ginobili, or if you're, if you're kind of like a tier or so
Yeah.
below, but still Olympic level,
Yeah.
the incentives are not nearly as, again,
Well, yeah.
Mark Cuban setting, I mean, Nowitzki playing for the German team, carrying the German team by himself couldn't have been easy. Like it's great that, like he gets some, but
Well,
that's extra
but
miles, man. That's
well, but
extra miles in a losing effort,
that yeah, but there's also that part of the guys that say that they want to do it. Like,
Sure.
so I
Yeah.
mean, I'm trying to think the guy that just won the Six Man Award. God dog, I can't remember his name. He's from the Philippines. If he plays for the Philippine
Oh, wow.
national team, like, oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. It's escaping me.
Yeah, I
He's
don't know.
plays for the Utah Jazz, but like if he plays for the Philippine national team, he can retire. Like he'll be the biggest guy in the Philippines for the next 30 years.
Oh, come
He'll
on.
be second to Manny
Like,
Pacquiao. He could run
like
for
any,
Congress.
like
So
any, anyone from the Philippines, that anyone in the NBA could retire in the Philippines forever just by showing up.
well, but what I mean, if you're in the Philippine national team,
Yeah, he
like
could be
yeah,
a hero. He would be a national hero for sure. But like, I don't even know who the player is. But like, so with regard to that, yeah, like I think create, so like if they could, if the IOC could think outside the box like the NBA did for the season last year,
and
then,
forfeit some profit, forfeit
well,
profit.
I mean, the thing is, again, that I feel like we can't even, we like, it's hard to even dig into like how the corrupt system of the IOC
Yeah.
and just the concept of it and a bunch of, whatever. But as far as what would work, I would actually, like I said, I didn't have an answer to this until just now.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. I would love to
Oh, they
see
see.
like a reimagining
Well,
of the Olympics
I
with
think
these
what
sort
you're
of weird virtual events,
well, I
which
think
would
what you're
be safer.
imagining is I think that is I mean, I wouldn't say it's even possible. I think it's probable in the next coming years. As a matter of fact, I think that this coronavirus is going to give oh God, I did it again. I think this bug is going to give rise to just new technologies that we couldn't see coming, right? I mean, think about it. Think about like what this is necessitating, right? Like all of this work from home, and we're using Zoom, which people weren't even using 3 years ago, and like now there's so much demand that
Well,
oh
like,
yeah, so
again, I'm not really jacked into the, like, what's happening with regard to the Olympics, but I'm curious, like, whether they have these sort of 24/7 mini documentaries like that the athletes themselves are shooting of themselves, like of their prep and of their,
yeah,
because basically beforehand, you know, everyone has sort of had their own document. If you want to know what was going on,
yeah,
we kind of counted on our own content, or we had to count on the
yeah,
things. But if all the individual athletes now,
yeah.
they might be their own brands, they're young, they're part of this internet age. I feel like they're creating their own documentaries, and they can create like high
Oh,
quality
I
sort of content for them
that
leading
was
up to the Olympics.
that
I
was
feel
one of the
like,
things that happened in the NBA bubble. Actually, I think they had to legislate hard against it. Like
mm,
they made sure that people weren't doing that. But like I think there's a documentary. I don't know. I forgot.
well, all those guys have documentary crews following them. But what I'm saying
Yes,
is, like, you've
yes,
got like these young athletes, and like, if you're from, the thing is, some of these, some of these smaller countries, I feel like the athletes have a higher profile. Like the athletes that are
yeah,
going to the Olympics,
yeah,
they're kind of a bigger deal. And so for these countries, them finding like, oh wow, that's a cool experience of these people going, the journey that they're taking, going to the international stage, and then, like, that's an interesting way
yeah.
to sort of consume the experience of the Olympics, because that's something that, at least for me, I don't care about the Olympics, but the concept of being able to follow,
Yeah,
like, the journey of someone, like, of a, whatever, a Serbian, relay
yeah,
relay runner, like, what's his prep and what's his experience, and him meeting, him going abroad for the first time, and he's like a, whatever, an 18-year-old kid, and he's going to Japan for the first time, and then he's like, and he's telling each other, he's like 5 minutes before the race, he's like, I'm so nervous, what are you going
yeah.
through, what is his routine, like, that's riveting to me,
Well,
because
I think in the age of social media, we're going to get. I wouldn't say we're going to get more of that. We're going to get too much of it. It's going
We're
to
going
be
to
too
get
much.
inundated with it.
Yeah,
But
there's
that's
going to
what
be
I'm
too much
saying,
to consume. That's right. That's right.
But figuring that aspect out, I think, is interesting, because what's kind of cool is that, like, suddenly we're at the cusp of this sort of total, like I said, we talked alluded a little bit to it, this idea of like total transparency, which is you can kind of control the way you consume the Olympics. Like, if I was watching Olympics, it's like, okay, there are these 8 athletes I've known nothing about. If I could click on this athlete, then I could actually see this back catalog of things, like, okay, so the race is about to happen. Let me get to know who this person is. So while they're doing their stretches or whatever before the sprint, I'm like, who is this kid? And we can see, like, oh wow, like this guy did this and this, and I can find the highlights, and then suddenly I know his story. And so that's kind of a neat thing. You can just kind of, this idea of
well,
you can
I
see
think
all the
that's going to
stories at the
happen
same time.
I think that's going to happen. Well, I'm not good at Twitter, but I mean, I'm sure that Twitter is just going to, I mean, think about it. We have not had an Olympics in 5 years, right? So like we've gone from, I mean, that was pre-Trump, right? So that was, so you had like Trump who basically was like, okay, Twitter, like you should use Twitter, and like you're going to have all of these trending stories and these moving videos, and they're going to be trending, and that's one reason I think we should, certainly the Olympics shouldn't be canceled. They should just be postponed to a safer time. But in the middle of that is going to be all of these incredible stories about starting from now, right?
Yeah. So for me, I guess like my plan would be, I would say just do it 2021, and just create a hard
2021.
date
You
for,
mean this
or
year?
2022? Sorry, 2022.
Okay.
So make a hard date for next year. Combine it with the Olympics, Winter Olympics. So say like now it's not even staggered anymore. Like from here on out, Summer, Winter Olympics, same
Just do it
year.
the same year. They used to do it the same year.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So like if I were in charge, put them the same year. Let's just do it, and then we have this hard date. Then we can start doing this sort of multimedia production, so that we encourage the athletes to be like, okay, I know it's kind of a scary time, just kind of figure things out, but we're going to start putting all this information together so that everyone can sort of follow your progress.
That would be cool from the entertainment side, but from just the practicality side, just give it some more time, man. Like just come on, man. Like America's what, are barely halfway vaccinated. America, come on, like that means that,
but that's what I'm saying though.
The majority of countries don't even have vaccines yet. Like just wait. Like just
holograms, man.
Just wait.
Holograms and virtual, virtual races, virtual events.
Hey man, it's great for places that have super fast internet, but some places don't.
No, but I mean, again.
So.
But it doesn't. But the thing is, they don't have to have that stuff. All they need to do. So the production areas, again, wherever the events are happening, that's the only place that needs to have like the high tech stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like the whole country has to have it. It's just wherever these events would occur. You just have it set up. And then like.
Well, I mean, they wouldn't even need holograms really. Like they could just have the races televised, and it's not like time works differently. Like,
I mean, you could just like
the concurrent
just
thing
like
is,
janky, just sort of set everything up.
Yeah, well, you can't. I don't know if the internet is evolved enough to do it concurrently, because so many places have faster internet versus slow internet. But you could have like,
you can put it on a delay. You can put it on like a 10-second
or a 10-second delay, or you could just have like the actual video and overlay it, because I know that they can do all kinds of stuff with the video after they've taken it, and like overlay it and say, oh, this guy running against this guy, because they do it with the NFL Combine, right? So they could do something like that, but
like I said, I think that'd be cool. I think again, and they could even showcase 5G. Like 5G is supposed to be pretty super fast, but anyway.
Oh, I mean, where's their 5G at? Like 5G is so incredibly limited. Like
actually, the US doesn't even have 5G right now. So
I mean, I guess there are places. I'm sure there are places that have it. Like, I mean, there are places in Tokyo that have it, and places in Osaka that have it, but not many.
Anyway,
but anyway, but like, so
But yeah,
I would say they just need to slow down, slow down. Like even here, public sentiment is against it. Like I asked my students, like my older students, right? Like who's excited about the Olympics? They're like, man, I'd rather them not have it because they know what's happening. Like there's
yeah.
all of this sacrifice,
Well,
and the sacrifice. There's like, is there actually going to be a payout that we want besides like some companies and the IOC making a bunch of money? Because like people are making really big sacrifices here, and that's tough, man. Telling people to stay in their house for 2 months at a time, go to work, go home. Even this weekend, I was going to take my daughter and a girl down the street and go to the park. The park's closed. They have everything
oh,
roped off, and so like, and like we're how do you tell a 9-year-old kid, oh yeah, this is summer number 2 of this, but hey, the Olympics are coming. Like she doesn't care about the Olympics. Like
man.
I just want to go to the park. I would think she's told me several times, I want things to go back to normal. She's like, I want to play with my friends without this mask on. So like, so the great majority of people thinking that way are thinking, dude, stop it with these Olympics, man. Stop it, man. As a matter of fact, there protests here. Like there are people on my timeline in Japan that are like, hey man, this is ridiculous. So
Actually, I just thought of another idea. Robot Olympics. It could be a big promo for all the Japanese robots that are being created.
oh,
And they just get all the robots to do it.
oh my goodness. You're talking about Terminator 2, right?
And then they just tape the faces onto the robots.
You want Terminator 2. That's what you want. Oh my goodness. Well, Mike, I enjoyed this one. So all right guys, so if you like video, like, subscribe to the channel and comment below, and we'll talk to you guys later.
I'll see you in the next one.
All right, bye.